What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA show, and we are back. We had a huge weekend in the UFC, UFC 294 for you guys who watched it. We're going to definitely talk about that, and I want to talk about why I do 100% believe that everybody is wrong about what they're saying in terms of Khamzat Chimaev and his performance. I want to get Justin's take on it. Not everybody's wrong. Some people, I think, have echoed what I said or how I feel about it, but a lot of people are overlooking a lot of things. So anyways, but before we get into all that, Justin actually had a fight just this last weekend. And yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to talk about it. He came to, so I want to kind of give Justin the floor to let him talk about, whatever he wants to talk about. And he had a show at the Commerce Casino in LA. So anyways, Justin, let me kind of open it up to you. And yeah, like, tell us a little bit about how you're feeling and share what you'd like to share first.
First and foremost, very grateful to be in there and compete and, be able to do what I love. As you were there, came up a little short. I thought man, the preparation for the fight was just incredible. As you can see in the cage, I was in incredible shape. I had a pretty good game plan for the most part. I was fucking him up on the feet. I took his leg out from him. I know he's hobbling along on crutches for the rest of the weekend. It's unfortunately, it's the bad part of the sport, man. I thought I got a bad call. Chris Lee there as the referee. Former UFC star, guy I look up to, guy that I'm a big fan of. I felt like I was getting hit in the back of the head at the end of the first round. In between rounds, I didn't address it during the fight, or I didn't address it during the round, but in between rounds, I went up to Chris and I was like, "Hey, man, do me a favor and watch these 12-6 elbows to the back of the head." And he's like, "Oh, he's not hitting you in the back of the head." It's like, well, the lumping on the back of my head says otherwise. All right, no problem.
Yeah.
Then I get my back taken and back to the elbows to the back of the head. I contested it while he was doing it, and then Lieben stood in and, jumped in and stopped it. Immediately, I jumped to my feet, and I contest the stoppage within a half a second.
Yeah.
Rocked. I wasn't, I had some blood. It's just, it really sucks when referees or judges, take away. Like if I was knocked out or on Coors Street or something like that, totally understand. I thought it was a terrible stoppage. It's one of the worst stoppages I've been a part of. You as a spectator and knowledgeable of the sport, has an opinion on it. I wanted to go out on my shield. I had a 2-year layoff after neck surgery. I had a really tough opponent. Chris Padilla was in shape. He's a very tough kid. He has a bright future, Bellator vet. It's just, as a fighter, it's, losing is a part of the sport. Everyone's going to lose no matter who you are. Khamzat, even undefeated right now, he's eventually going to lose. But at the end of the day, you don't want to lose from the referee or from the judges. You want to go out on your shield. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I'll say from my vantage point. So we were sitting real close and I saw you talking to the ref near the end of the round one. You're talking to him while the guy was hitting you in the back of the head. And trying to tell him. And then I saw you in between rounds tell the ref. So I was hoping he was going to be more observant. And then I don't know what happened. It's just such a shame because this was the first time I've been to a fight where I was good friends with the fighter. And then you just see like, man, people talk about the judging and we talk about, different issues with refereeing and things like that. And you're like, yeah, it should be fixed, but whatever, on to the next fight. And then now seeing it, when it's somebody I care about and I'm like, oh, this like is horrendous when it happens because the way the sport is. So something like this is just, when there's those mistakes, there's no do-overs. There's no, it just goes on your record. And it's like, it's such a crazy thing. So that was really unfortunate. And then the stoppage was so bananas. Like I thought he was stopping it to give him a point deduction. That's what everybody I think thought. And then he stopped the fight, and you were literally defending yourself, and you were talking to him as it was happening. I think that's my recollection. And then he stopped. Like,
watch the back of the head strikes, and it's really unfortunate. Being a UFC vet, being a Bellator vet, him knowing that I'm ready to go out on my shield, I'm ready to get fucked up, and to the point where I wasn't even hurt. I had some blood coming out. I got this little scratch right here, but that's it. that was it, man. And it's just really shame, and shame on him. And I'm really disappointed. Bringing a former UFC vet like himself, that's been around, that's been able to go down a shield time and time again, for him.
Oh, we lost Justin. Oh yeah, you're back. Sorry, you got cut for a second. Sorry, you were saying for a UFC vet to go out, and then you were saying go out on your shield. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like him, man. Like, he's known for being knocked unconscious and coming back and winning fights. And for me to be verbally talking to him, giving him a thumbs up that everything was okay. Hey, man, watch the back of the strikes. When he jumped in and stopped it, I was like, all right, well, at least I get a point taken away now. And I stand up, waves his hands in my face, and I'm like, Chris Lieben, you just ended my career. I mean, there's unfortunately, there's no coming back after that. My UFC hopes are basically over. Bellator's being beat by the PFL. It's, every fighter goes out the way I did or worse. And, it's a very emotional piece for me. And again, I'm just so disappointed in the officiating from Chris Lieben. Again, UFC fighter, a guy I look up to, a guy that I respect for his resilience, and I hope that he can go back in this film and he doesn't ruin someone else's career, because essentially he ended my career, man. That was the last chance I had, I think, and the last chance I want to take. Fighting for $1,000 and taking that kind of damage, or both of us, him too. He's taking damage too for $1,000. It's just not worth it. And I have so many emotions about it, man. And, I'm tore up, and I can sit here and complain all I want, but, unfortunately, whatever the referee says, whoever the referee says wins, man. And, I forwarded to my manager this morning, Iridium, Lance and Jason, and they're going to try to contest it, but the chance of it getting overturned is probably 1%. I mean, clearly in the video I just watched the video. That's why I was a couple of minutes late, because I was finishing the video.
Yeah.
Last two strikes before Chris jumps in are the point of his elbow to the back of my arms up like this. Back of the head is as clear as day. It's not like, oh, it's close. It's blatant. Like, it's the back of my head's exposed, and he's elbowing it. And and again, to Chris Padilla, I don't think he's like targeting. I don't think he's targeting the back of my head. I think he's just throwing the strikes as he saw. But at the end of the day, he should have at least got a warning. I think, I'm not even saying take a point away, but hey, warning. He didn't even get a warning in the first round or the second round. Even when I contested in between rounds, I asked Chris to watch it. I think, unfortunately, what it comes down to, and, and I hate to say this, and maybe I'm out of line for saying this, maybe it's just my emotions. Chris is on a 3-fight win streak. He's 1 fight away from getting to the UFC. He beats a UFC vet. He gets in. He sees that opportunity for him. He ends the fight to get that guy, to put him to the next level. I have so many emotions about it, man, and I've cried myself to sleep the last 2 nights, not knowing what I'm going to do. It doesn't really matter what I say or do at this point. It just is what it is, man.
So let me jump in real quick, because, and by the way, good news. Okay, Western Mass Climber has said 10-7. Our show is greater than MMA Guru. So there's a little silver lining. But here's the thing. Okay, let's come back to this. And remember, we talked on Saturday after your fight, and like, this is the side, that it's just, I don't know. I can imagine, as an entrepreneur, if I came to say, hey, I come to this crossroads where this one whole chapter of my life is ending, and now I have to start over fresh. And of course, I'm sure that's terrifying. We did talk about, I think you have some amazing options. You guys don't know who have ever worked with Justin. I think he's an unbelievable MMA coach. And he likes to work with kids, and he's amazing with kids as well. We will talk about that another time, but I just want to come back to one quick thing, because I think you've got a huge future ahead of you in that realm. But if in the chance that, let's say, you go through and you win the appeal, what would be next for you in that case?
I mean, it'd be ruled a no contest. I know Chris Padilla would definitely contend it, and that's how I know that it wouldn't, and I'd run it back with him. If that's what it was, we got a no contest and we got to run it back, I would do that in a heartbeat. Super tough guy, very dangerous fighter. To be honest, I'll even say that he was better than I thought he was going to be. He doesn't have a lot of miles. He's still young. He has like a 76-inch reach. I have a 67-inch reach.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, either did I until I saw the tail of the tape. And I was wondering why, because he kept sticking me with he had a good long jab and he kept sticking me with it. I'm like, how is this motherfucker reaching me? And I'm just missing him by an inch. But, it's, I at the end of the day, Chris Lieben made a bad call. And unfortunately, it affects my career in the most negative way it ever possibly could. This isn't a loss. This is a possible career ender. And more than likely, it's not going to get overturned. But if it got overturned, and I'd run it back immediately. I'll run it back in December. I'll run it back in January. Anytime he wants to run it back. But right now, I'm kind of at a loss for words. And, I'll be honest, I'm just sitting in my room depressed for the most of the day. And that's about it.
I get you. Okay, well, listen, you and me are going to talk more about this offline, because I do think, like, as I mentioned on Saturday, you got so many amazing options. We're going to talk about it. We're going to keep going with this show, obviously, as well. And look, I asked Justin at the beginning, do you want to talk about it? Do you not want to talk about it? He said he wants to talk about it. And I think for anybody that's listening, you're seeing another side of the sport that, I'll be honest, like, I didn't really know, I didn't have firsthand exposure to it. And it's crushing, even just to see a close friend of mine go through this. So I guess it is what it is. It's part of the sport. But yeah, man, anyways, Justin is gracious enough to give you an insight into that element of what it's like. So Justin, obviously we're going to talk more online. You're going to crush it in the next chapter, or if you're running it back, I'll be there again, and that's it. Let's see what happens, and we'll take it from there. But I have full confidence in you and whatever you choose to do. And like I said, we'll talk more about it. Okay. So for those of you guys who wanted to check out our take on Khamzat, and specifically why I said, why is everybody wrong about him, this fight from this weekend? So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to lead us into it. And the first thing that, I want to say, and Western Mass Climber said your latest fight isn't on your Wikipedia page. I don't know. Maybe it hasn't been updated yet, but yeah, it was, the promotion was Up Next Fighting, and I'm sure it'll be up there soon. But anyways, okay. So coming back to Khamzat. So here's the thing. Okay. This is why I'm getting upset about this whole thing. Obviously, I'm biased because Khamzat is probably my favorite fighter currently right now. Maybe, I don't know. I'm such a big fan of Khamzat. And it's so bizarre. It's like people are writing off his victory against Kamaru Usman. They're saying, oh, well, he didn't even fight a real welterweight. Somebody that moved up and he came off the couch. And yeah, I get all that, but he dominated him in the first round. Nobody's done that to Kamaru Usman. Took him down, held him down the entire round, dominated him, clear 10-8. Everybody I've listened to said it's a clear 10-8. And then he broke his hand, or he severely injured his hand in the last minute when Kamaru slammed him to the ground. So everybody's like, well, I just don't understand it. Nobody's saying, hey, yeah, everybody's like, hey, he slowed down in round 2. His cardio still an issue, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hello, he already explained that. He had to back off because he couldn't grapple anymore. His hand was in a lot of pain. And then the third round, he picked it up because he said eventually he was just like, F it, I'm just going to go for it and fight through the pain, which is amazing. So, like, to me, this victory is even more incredible. But everybody's like, he scraped by the skin of his teeth against Kamaru and Gilbert Burns. And I'm just like, I'm totally shocked. I thought that performance was incredible. Does it warrant a title shot over Dricus du Plessis? I don't know, but I think it's definitely enough to warrant a title shot. I think it's, obviously they're pushing him because there's so much hype. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. Justin, what are your thoughts?
I thought he had a great showing. We're talking about Kamaru Usman, the former champ. All right, some argue the best 170-pound. I see some people have compared him with GSP in recent years, which is just to even be talked about in the same conversation as George St. Pierre is something in itself. We're talking about a guy that has 97% takedown defense, get taken down 3 times in a fight by although he's a middleweight. He did fight at welterweight not too long ago, just a couple of years ago. So it's not that he's that bigger. But is the short notice a factor? Did he come off the couch? Sure. But he still has that championship experience. I would have liked to see the fight go 5 rounds and see how it played out, because as the fight went on, the longer the fight, it felt like Usman was starting to get the better of him towards the end. But then you take into effect, I have broken my hand in a fight. And when you break your hand in a fight, it, and it definitely affects everything. It's like, oh shit, can't throw this punch. How can I get my grip? How can I get my takedowns? And then sometimes you even forget about it, and then you go to hit with it, and it's like, oh shit, I forgot about it, and then you get a scorching hand. Not to mention against a relentless fighter, a champion, one of the best ever, Kamaru Usman. Anybody that's saying that Khamzat is fought like shit. Obviously all those people have never fought before, and their opinion is irrelevant when it comes to this matter. Khamzat's the real deal, man. He just went in there and dominated. I thought he won 30-27. The first round could have been 28-29 or 10. But he handled him. He handled the former champ, the former defending champ. Not just like he won the belt. He went on a reign for a while. Again, being compared to GSP, being compared to one of the all-time greats, to get in there and get handled like that, 97% takedown defense, and then get taken down at least 3 times in a fight. It speaks for itself.
And the thing is, it's like, I'm like, people have forgotten. Remember when Khamzat first came into the scene, everybody's like, oh my God, we want to see him fight against Kamaru. He's so good. Maybe he could already beat him, right? People said that. And we just saw it and he won. And everybody's like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm in Bizarro land because he won having a broken hand. Bananas. Yeah. Nobody is acknowledging this. Like, that was so impressive to me. And then Josh Thompson, love Josh Thompson, by the way, but like he said on the show, oh, I think Khamzat is not who we thought he was. He's not as good as we thought he was. And I'm like, I don't understand. Is it because he had a close fight with Gilbert Burns? And he still won. Like, I don't get it.
It was a fight with Burns, but again, nobody. I don't think anybody thought Burns won.
No, nobody did.
It was close, sure, 29-28 maybe, but he definitely won.
Yeah.
Know why people are putting so much flack on Gilbert Burns, former contender for the championship, fought Usman, had an incredible fight with Usman, and for Khamzat to go in there and beat them both convincingly, I don't know why anybody has any flack to say about Khamzat.
And last thing I'll say too, it's like I feel as though to some extent people have forgotten a bit about Gilbert Burns. They're like, oh, he lost to Bilal, right, in the last fight. But then again, nobody mentions the fact that he had one arm. Remember? He had that like shoulder injury. I still don't know if he has been public about exactly what happened, but like he was fighting with one arm. That is crazy. People forget. Anyways, I thought Khamzat looked amazing. I thought that first round was insane. Nobody has done that to Kamaru Usman, and it was incredible. So anyways, I'm excited for the fight, and he might be coming up against your boy Sean Strickland, which I think is an incredible matchup. Love both. The only downside about that fight is I and a lot of other people love both Strickland and Khamzat. So I always hate that, like Dustin versus Justin Gaethje. Like, you love both fighters so much. So, that's the only downside I'll say. But otherwise, I can't wait to see it. All right, let's move along to the championship fight, Islam versus Volk 2. I just want to get your thoughts on this fight. Now, I want to go back to what I said. My theory, my hypothesis was that even though Islam won the first time, I think he was so there's something wrong with him. And now he started to come out during the lead up saying how, yes, he didn't get enough time to rehydrate. Like, there was something, and whether or not he had the IV, I don't even know if he's confirmed it, but something was off with him last time. Now seeing this performance, what are your thoughts?
Unfortunately, I didn't see much of a performance. He just ended. He ended it so quick and so fast. True. That we really couldn't see it. I really wanted to see him to go into deep waters again. But how can you take anything away from him? Get in there and clip Volkanovski with a head kick. Volk put his hands up just like you're taught to do. But there's an inch of space right over the top of your gloves. And what's crazy is I fought Kyle Propalik as an amateur, former UFC vet, and he hit me with the exact same shot. My hands were up. I'm blocking my temple because we're taught to block our temple, block our jaw. Yeah. Just clips the top of your head and it sends a shock and your body just crumbles, man. And what a great kick, and you can't even be mad at Volk. It's not like he had his hands down. He had his hands up, ready to block. But that little space above your gloves, it just gets clipped right here and it sends a shock through your brain, man. It was an incredible kick and it was an incredible performance. Hats off to Volk for stepping up short notice. He talked about the short notice fight in in all his interviews. And, he was looking to fight. So, at the end of the day, it was a good catch, man. He caught him. I'd love to see him, run it back a third time even, just because it was such a great fight the first time. But I don't think that's ever going to happen.
A lot of people have been saying since, I don't think it's going to happen either. And God, man, I felt so bad for Volk hearing him at the press conference. I don't know if we can talk about that a little bit too. But I'd never seen Volk break down, and he broke down. I want to get your take on that. But, a lot of people are saying now Islam belongs to the top of the pound for pound list. I just checked. They didn't do it. They on the UFC pound for pound, they bumped him up to number 2. I think he's at number 2, still below John Jones, which I think is fair. I think that's fine. Like John Jones or Islam at this current moment, we could switch one or the other. But a lot of people are saying that, and the conversations are now beginning. Is Islam already proven to be better than Khabib? I mean, who knows, right? At this point, it's difficult. But I think it's so cool that these conversations are beginning, because it really was impressive. And I think his striking, tell me if you agree, but his striking seems to be superior to Khabib's.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that Islam's already surpassed Khabib. I know he has the one loss on his record on the fluke knockout earlier in his career in the UFC. But the guys he got knocked out by has already been cut, man. He's already come back. He's beat everybody that's a who's who, and he's not only beating them, he's dominating them. To go and submit Oliveira with the side choke, one of the first things you learn in grappling is how to defend a side choke, and Oliveira is arguably the best grappler, or one of the best grapplers in the lightweight division. For him to go get submitted in the first round, now he goes up against a dynamic striker like Volkanovski, who, let's talk about how he beat Max Holloway 3 times, like one of the best division and all of UFC, and then to get knocked down in the first round from a head kick. I think Islam's already surpassed Khabib. I think Khabib was a great champion. I think he was one-dimensional. I didn't think he stuck around long enough to take a loss. I mean, I think he only had 3 title defenses. He fought Conor McGregor, no wrestling background. He fought Justin Gaethje, who I thought was going to give him a better fight than he did, who has a collegiate wrestling background, and Dustin Poirier, I think, when he won the title. 3 great fighters. But, a lot of times, a guy will take a loss, learn from the loss, come back and be stronger on the rematch. I'm not saying he should have gotten an immediate rematch, but there are some guys that are in contention that, and Khabib had some controversial wins earlier. I think I think Islam has already surpassed him. Like I said, how many title defenses do you have? I think he has just as many, if not more.
Because hold on, Khabib had 3, and then he's had 2. He defended against Oliveira and against this one was you're right, it is 3. What am I saying? Volk twice, and he beat two defenses, because he's done Volk. He beat Oliveira to get the belt, so he's had 2 title defenses so far.
And I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. I think he's going to have an incredible reign, maybe 5, maybe 10 title defenses, which will definitely put him in the all-time great list. I love Khabib, but there's no question. I think he's a great champion. I think he's awesome. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just don't think he stuck around long enough to find his losses, because at the end of the day, there's only 2 guys that I know that haven't went out on a loss, and that's John Jones, who's still competing, who still could lose, and George St. Pierre. And besides that, and Khabib, of course. So besides those 2 guys, Anderson Silva, to me, one of the all-time greats. He's lost a bunch in a row now. He's been knocked out viciously a couple times. He had some serious leg breaks. You stick around for too long, you're going to get fucked up. Eventually, somebody's going to fuck you up. Somebody's going to have your day. Look at Shevchenko, Valentina, like one of the greatest female fighter of all time to me. She's lost now 2 in a row. And, unfortunately, this sport is just very, very unforgiving. And luckily for Khabib, he got out when he did.
Yeah, 100%. Last question. I got to jump off in 1 minute. Who do you want to see Islam fight next? People are saying it's going to more likely be Oliveira than Gaethje. I personally want to see Gaethje. I'd love to see Oliveira too, but I'm slightly leaning towards that. What do you feel?
I'd like Gaethje over Oliveira. I think Oliveira is a little predictable. His striking is very, very crisp and very, very sharp. But Islam knows that. His grappling, he's already shown that Islam can out grapple him. I think that's where he's usually. Yes. But Gaethje, I don't think Gaethje's better than Islam, but what Gaethje brings that Oliveira doesn't is chaos. Gaethje brings chaos to the cage. You don't know what he's going to throw. He might throw a head kick. He might throw a leg kick. He might throw a looping overhand left. He might throw a looping overhand right. If Islam isn't on his point, it only takes one punch from Gaethje. Oliveira is more of a surgical striker, straight down the pipe, very, very crisp striking, which in turn can be predictable. Gaethje, with his wild overhands and his big looping hooks and his weird kicks, as he knocked out Dustin Poirier, you never know what's coming that can make you susceptible to getting knocked out.
100%. Okay, Justin, I gotta bounce because I gotta start my tutoring session right now. So you guys don't know I'm a math tutor. But anyways, I gotta bounce. Amazing show today, and we're gonna touch base. And guys, we're gonna get a very regular schedule. We're planning to do Mondays and Fridays going forward. We're doing Tuesday this week just because, but we'll do another show later this week. And that's that. Thank you guys so much for joining. Can't wait to see this title shot with Khamzat versus Strickland. And we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Okay.